Angel and company lost that game badly, so the question becomes, how often is she going to deflect blame after a tough loss onto racist comments?
Skip Bayless didn't hold back on Angel Reese, and honestly, it was about time someone said what many had been thinking after Reese's latest effort to cast herself as the victim in a rivalry she initiated. Bayless exposed the entire charade, highlighting how the WNBA appears afraid to defend its real golden goose, Caitlin Clark, while allowing unchecked physicality and fabricated drama to take over. The numbers speak for themselves. Clark's games are selling out arenas, while Reese's team struggles to fill even half the seats. If you're following, let's move on. The issue with Angel Reese is that after tough losses, she sometimes publicly shifts into victim mode. After the Chicago Sky were blown out by the Indiana Fever, 93-58, on May 17, Skip Bayless publicly called her out. When you look at the actual facts, Reese's story crumbles faster than the Sky's defense against Clark. Reese made heavy claims about racist behavior from fans during the game, painting a picture of targeted abuse and a hostile crowd, supposedly following her throughout the season. Let's first hear what Angel Reese had to say. If you listen carefully, it almost sounds like she's holding back laughter. Yes, this has no place in the WNBA. Note the anxious body language and repeated nervous gestures. Reese said, "I think my team and the organization have done a fantastic job supporting me. I've received communication from across the league, people who've backed me through this entire process. This can happen to anyone, even me." When asked how this affected her during the game, she responded, "Obviously, it's tough, but I believe I have a great support system. I'm loved by many, and that helps, even though it's hard to hear these things. My support system is strong." Reese's accusations centered on racist taunts from Clark's supporters, especially during that embarrassing loss in Indianapolis. She also alleged hearing slurs outside the arena, implying it was a consistent pattern of abuse linked to her rivalry with Clark. Interestingly, these claims surfaced immediately after one of the worst defeats in Sky franchise history, a game where Clark logged a triple-double and Reese barely registered an impact. When asked about the league's reaction, she replied, "I think the league has done a good job showing that this is a priority. There's no room for hate speech. Every woman in this league deserves to be respected and to feel safe. The league has made that message clear and will act if needed." But here's where things get murky. It's hard not to notice that Reese didn't publicly denounce any of her supporters who hurled derogatory slurs at others. That silence is loud. The WNBA launched a thorough investigation into her claims, pulling data from fans, arena staff, teams, and a full video review of the game. Their conclusion? Reese's account didn't match reality. The league said they found no evidence to support the specific incidents she described. Headline: WNBA unable to confirm vile remarks made by fans toward Angel Reese. Official league statement. We investigated reports of racist fan behavior near the court during the May 17, 2025 Chicago Sky vs. Indiana Fever game. Based on information from fans, team staff, arena personnel, and audio, video footage, we have found no supporting evidence. The WNBA reaffirmed its commitment to a safe and inclusive environment and promised continued enforcement of its fan conduct policies. Skip Bayless meticulously deconstructed Reese's claims and made a critical distinction. He acknowledged that racist remarks absolutely exist online, but he questioned the timing and motive behind Reese's allegations following a 35-point defeat. Why bring these accusations forward right after such a loss, especially when the league found no corroborating evidence? The WNBA should protect its players from racial harassment in arenas, but Bayless argued that the league took this investigation seriously and did its job. His larger concern was Reese's repeated pattern of claiming victimhood in response to setbacks. He noted that she often redirects the blame to anonymous social media trolls. His advice was clear: don't let those remarks define you. Don't give them power. Don't even read them. Social media shouldn't be an excuse for poor performance. Did a white fan actually shout something offensive after Reese and Clark got into it? Reese did react aggressively, jumping up and needing to be restrained by teammates. Maybe something was said. but lacking hard proof, we have to go with the league's official findings, which showed no evidence. Video footage of the crowd shows typical reactions, nothing resembling the racist hostility Reese described. If this abuse was so obvious and widespread, why didn't anyone else notice? Why did it only become an issue after a humiliating defeat? The timeline doesn't add up. This feels like a distraction, a diversion from a dominant performance by Clark and the Fever. Instead of owning the loss and her struggles on the court, Reese created a narrative. But the only racist remarks confirmed that night were from social media, not the stands. As a white man, Bayless admitted he might not fully understand, but he asked the obvious question, Angel, does this really have to happen every time? This recurring pattern hurts not just Reese's image, it damages the credibility of the WNBA. When players weaponize serious issues like racism to deflect criticism, it makes it harder for genuine victims to be taken seriously. And it puts the league in a bind. The WNBA is so afraid of its own players that it won't even defend its top draw, Caitlin Clark. Clark is a sophomore who's single-handedly transforming the league. She's bringing in more money and attention than the WNBA has ever seen, and yet she doesn't get the protection she deserves. That's not just poor leadership. It's cowardice. Saturday's game between the New York Liberty and Indiana Fever aired on CBS and drew massive viewership, not because of defending champs Breanna Stewart or Sabrina Ionescu, but because of Caitlin Clark. Clark is the undisputed reason why most Fever road games are moved to NBA arenas. Regular WNBA venues can't contain the demand. When Clark plays, arenas are packed. When she doesn't, they're half empty. The Liberty vs. Fever game got ratings most WNBA matchups could only dream of. Everyone knows why. And yet, in the final 12 seconds of a tight game in one of the league's most raucous arenas, Clark's Fever were robbed not once, but 3 times. Lexi Hull was called for a questionable foul. And on Clark's final drive, a blatant no-call. Neither Clark nor head coach Stephanie White said much, likely because they know anything they say will be twisted into more backlash. This shows where the league really stands. They're afraid of how veterans might react if Clark gets fair treatment. That's what Bayless highlighted. This fear of a player revolt is making the WNBA officials let Clark take brutal hits with no whistles. Down the stretch of that Liberty Fever game, Clark made a dazzling drive, then dished a brilliant pass to Dana Evans, who was clearly fouled, but no call. Lexi Hull played clean defense on Sabrina, yet she was whistled. The Fever had no timeouts left to challenge. Sabrina missed 2 free throws earlier, but now she calmly sank both, putting New York ahead. This isn't ordinary officiating. Bayless said it clearly, referees are letting players get too physical with Clark. And the league is signaling that it's okay. In the final moments, Clark drove hard left on Natasha Cloud, who made heavy contact with her, bodying her, slapping her across the wrist and arm, but still, no call. What's fueling this? Bayless called it what it is, petty jealousy. Veterans feel overshadowed. Rather than seeing Clark's stardom as a rising tide for the whole league, they resent her for it. Make no mistake, behind closed doors, veteran players and starters constantly complain to coaches and executives about Clark getting too much attention, too much credit for the league's growth. Even Fever coach Stephanie White has called out the officiating, pointing to the absurd free throw disparities and disrespectful treatment of her team. Many veterans seem to feel, what about us? What have we been doing all these years? Well, sorry ladies, but compared to Clark's impact, you are chopped liver. You just have to accept it. Clark is the one player who has pushed ratings and revenue beyond what all of you combined could manage before she entered the league.